Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, which came out in 2000 from Toho. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving guys. And this video is not related to Thanksgiving really whatsoever. It's just the movie I decided to watch on Thanksgiving. If you guys don't know, and it's probably my fault if you don't, but Godzilla has been one of my lifelong passions, my main interest since I was a very small child, talking Discovery Kindergarten and stuff like that. It was one of my main childhood obsessions, and he's still one of my favorite things nowadays. I love what they've done with the legendary Godzilla in 2014, going into King of the Monsters next year with and the crossover with Kong in 2020. And of course, I own and I've seen all the Japanese films as much as I can. Wearing Godzilla shirt right now, so that's cool. Yeah, so I've done a few Godzilla movie reviews on my channel, obviously the 2014 one when it came out, and a few others. Like I reviewed Godzilla 2000, which has been my favorite since I was a kid. I reviewed Final Wars, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and I think that's I talked about Shin Godzilla as well, which I didn't really like honestly, but go back and watch that video if you want to know more about that. I just didn't really like that version of the character at all. And I'm not exactly sure why I decided to watch this particular movie today. I just felt like I was in the mood for it. And it sort of ties back to me saying Godzilla 2000 is my favorite Godzilla film, besides maybe what they're doing with the legendary one, which I think is just great. And with this, it's the film that came right after Godzilla 2000. It uses the same suit, actually, but it's technically not in the same continuity. It's one of those movies where they rewrite the origin of Godzilla, saying this is the original Godzilla, and the oxygen destroyer thing never happened, like in the original 54 film. This Godzilla's been showing up periodically over the decades and going after different nuclear powers and stuff like that. Power stations, I should say. Power plants and everything. So that part's alright. I would prefer them if they're going to use the same suit, just, kind of follow some sort of continuity from 2000, because I did sort of like the human characters in that one, Shinoda, his daughter and everything. It's probably because I have some extra nostalgia to that, but still. Nonetheless, though, we still, because of that, get a pretty damn good looking Godzilla suit in this. Like I said, Godzilla 2000 being my favorite Godzilla film growing up. I probably have some extra attachment to it. But it looks really good here as well. As far as I know, there are a few modifications to it, a few little adjustments or differences, I think, but in general it's still basically the same look. And really, because of this being my favorite when I was younger, this is sort of the look for Godzilla in a way. Some people picture like the 90s high-C Godzilla, some people picture the straight-up original film Godzilla. The legendary ones in my mind a lot now too. But for me, this is kind of where my love started in a way. So I think I have some extra love for this movie as well because of that. But this movie isn't bad. I find it to be sort of middle of the road for Godzilla films. Some people really don't like this movie in the community, I've noticed over the years, but I think it's pretty decent. All the Godzilla films are fairly straightforward. Some of them push the themes or like the meaning of the character a little bit more than others, though. Some go more into him as like a thinking being. This one, again, a little more straightforward. They end up creating this thing called a dimension tide, which actually ends up opening up this wormhole, and thus, mutating these insects and bringing on other prehistoric creatures as well, causing this whole Megaguirus thing. You see, in the movie with the dub, they call it Megaguirus, but I remember, and I think Godzilla Saved the Earth, like the voice that goes fight, says Megaguirus. So I don't know how exactly to pronounce it, so that's why I'm going back and forth on it. And of course, Godzilla is showing up in this movie again to go after the different power sources. And then meanwhile the humans are scrambling to get their dimension tide going again to hopefully trap Godzilla for eternity. So that's it there. But really, we don't watch this movie for the, we don't watch these films for the human plots, just how good is the, monster fights and Godzilla himself. Pretty good. There's a pretty decent fight sequence near the end. I do like the design of Megaguirus. I think he or she, looks fairly good. And like I said, I think they had some decent shots with Megaguirus and Godzilla's final battle. However, watching it again, it's not quite as, big. It feels like it's lacking something that even Godzilla 2000 had with the Orga final battle. There's no, big wow moment, really. Unless you want to refer to, the Godzilla body slam, I guess. And it is pretty cool at the end when Godzilla starts moving faster, and then he ends up catching the stinger in his mouth and everything. Biting into that. Besides that, I guess it just depends on what kind of foes you like Godzilla to battle. Do you like your Mothras, or do you like your King Ghidorahs and Orgas, Mechagodzilla's, Destroyas, kind of the more physical upfront ones, And this one is more like an evasive enemy. So, I guess that is part of it as well. But I do think Megaguirus makes for a more interesting foe than, say, Badra in the 90s. In terms of flying creatures. But there's still moments here, and then they almost turn into a bit of a horror movie. There's one scene where the swarm of the Magnula, the smaller flying creatures that end up awakening this queen, they end up going around the city and basically horror movie style, killing people at first initially before the military comes in. And that's alright. Then you also have seen Godzilla on the island when they first try the dimension tide. And then they're swarming him, and so he starts, grabbing them off his chest, and then using his spines against the, the rocks and the mountains and everything. And it's all right. It looks a little bit clunky, but that's just due to the mobility of these suits and stuff, which you still gotta appreciate. Even seeing the really good CGI that they're using on Godzilla and the Legendary one nowadays. If you're a fan of Godzilla, you gotta be able to appreciate them creating all these different suits and stuff like that, even if they seem a little bit off once in a while. As far as the human characters do go, though, it's not bad. I mean, I've watched this movie dubbed, and I've watched it with subtitles before. The acting isn't the best, but I don't mind our main character, Kariko, I think is her name. She reminds me of the main character from the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS films a little bit later in the Millennium Era. Not quite as strong of a character as her, though. But she's not bad. They basically just set her up, with trying to basically get justice for what happened to her commanding officer. And they push that a little bit as a subplot, but it's pretty typical for these kinds of films. Besides that, no character really stands out too much at all. I mean, it's pretty by the numbers, but really, what do you expect? So yeah, overall, again, this is sort of a middle-of-the-road entry, but I do find I like it more than quite a bit of people do, apparently. And it also helps because the guy who is in the Godzilla suit in this one, Tsusumu Kitagawa, and I just butchered his name, I know. He played, he was in the Godzilla suit in Godzilla 2000, this one obviously not in GMK, but every other Millennium film besides that, SOS Against Mechagodzilla and Final Wars. And, I had the pleasure to actually meet him at Grand Rapids Comic Con 2017. And he was just a really, really nice, appreciative guy. They had a translator there and everything, but still it was great to meet him. Sort of one of my childhood heroes in his own way, I guess. He even signed my VHS tape of Godzilla 2000, which is cool. So yeah, overall, if I had to rate this movie, I'd rate it, I was thinking a B-, C+, but really, my fondness for it and just sort of my understanding of how these things work, it's not bad. I'd be willing to put it up to maybe a solid B or something as well. And yeah. So there's movies I've rated about the same as this, and I honestly prefer Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, just random films. But, I guess you just gotta take it for what it is, too. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this one. What's your favorite Millennium Godzilla film? Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.